nowadays in France, they pronounce the S at the end. But if you're an intellectual, you don't pronounce the S.
Wait.
Interesting.
By intellectual, do they mean pretentious?
I don't know if they meant it that
way. Is it a trap? This feels like a trap. Hi everyone, welcome to OSA Backstage. I'm Dani Meyer, this is Braveheart, and on today's episode, Serena and I are talking to Paul Ledwon, principal cellist of the Omaha Symphony. We talk about music being as natural as breathing or reading, which I love. We talk about how his lifelong friendship with former Omaha Symphony music director Victor Yampolsky has shaped his entire career, and we talk about the living testament that is the music of Shostakovich. Shostakovich remains one of the great mysteries of the 20th century, living in Stalin's Soviet Union. On one hand, he's writing music to keep himself and his family safe and secure, and on the other, he seems to be reaching out and putting as much expression and hope and fear and also resilience and determination into his music as humanly possible. And it's breathtaking and a privilege, frankly, that we get to play it and keep that living testament alive. Paul's a delight. You're going to love this. Enjoy.
Good.
Fantastic. Okay, Paul.
Okay.
Would you please introduce yourself?
Certainly. I'm Paul Ledwon. I'm the principal cellist of the Omaha Symphony.
Yay. You're wearing a fantastically cozy sweater. You practically blend into the armchair.
Thank you. Yes, that was the intention. Even though I'd never seen the room before.
It really ties the room together, I think.
Good. Nice.
Where did music start for you?
So music started at home. My mother played violin her whole life. She had studied in college, but she was not a music major. She was actually an English teacher. But so she had 6 kids. I'm number 5 out of the 6, and so I'm sure I was before I was even born. I was hearing concerts and music and practicing in the house, and I can't remember a time without that.
So all of your siblings played?
Oh yeah, we all started piano at age 4, violin at 5, and.
And when did you decide the violin was too small and you wanted to?
So then my oldest sister just did violin and piano. Then my brother, who was next, he added viola in high school. And then there were 2 more sisters. And then me at age, 5th grade. 5th grade, they had a Suzuki program starting in school, and everyone had to learn violin, and I already knew violin. And so they said, here, take this.
That is standard. They just hand you the really big version of the previous thing you've been doing.
Right. Yeah, or I guess they had a cello that they said, well, if anyone knows violin, give them this, or I'm not exactly sure, but.
Do they have other cellists? Or were you the only cellist?
No, I was the only one, I think.
This makes me happy that this also happened to cellists, because in my experience, that's a bass problem. She's like, we don't have any.
Cellos left. Oh,
here's
the bass.
Here's the next size up. Okay,
No.
So your family, some families like to create sports teams with their children, and your family was like, we need a Mendelssohn octet, or as close as we can get to it?
As well, sort of, I think. Way later, my mom did tell me at one point it was always in her master plan for me to play cello, even though, so I was playing all 3 instruments through middle school, and then in 8th grade, she said, you're just too busy, too many things going on, you have to give up 1 instrument. And I said, that's easy, piano. And she said, it can't be piano. And then I said, well, that's easy then, violin.
me.
I just love that she's like, that was the wrong decision, try again. So she had enough violinists and upper strings in the house.
Right.
Okay. So why was her master plan cello? Did she ever explain
Well, no, but we did have family quartets. We would play at some functions and friends' weddings and things.
How did those go down? Was there a clear leader, or was it like just absolute chaos?
There was a big age difference in the kids. So by the time I was even old enough to be playing in this quartet, so my mom was playing first violin, and one of my sisters would play second, and the other would play viola. So my mom would take charge, basically. I mean, we had these fun books from like the 40s, I imagine, arrangements of things.
So everyone was on board. You didn't have a sibling who was like, I would much rather.
I'm a soccer player. Not
Right.
That was not an option. I mean, my youngest sister, she was the most rebellious because she made it clear that this was not, her main love of, doing this sort of thing.
And now
but she's a history teacher.
Okay.
But she was also the youngest, and so by that time, I think my mom was worn down, or she had enough musicians, or I don't know.
The quartet is complete.
Yes.
You can choose your own destiny.
She has substitutes for her quartet. She's okay. Okay. All right. So you heard music constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first concert?
Absolutely not.
What's the first concert you can remember?
I couldn't even say, because it's all so just, it's like breathing or reading. And I only know that I started reading at age 3 because that was, they told me so, but I can't remember a time before that. And I can't remember a time before going to concerts. And
that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm trying to imagine also, you said piano at 4 and violin at 5. And I have met 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. And that seems insane to me. I know it happens. I'm kind of flabbergasted that your whole family was like, okay, so you hit this important birthday milestone. Congratulations, toddler. Here is your piano bench.
Right. Well, there was this thing called the Kelly Kirby School of Piano Playing. I don't really know the history of it, but it was a thing, kind of like Suzuki, I guess. But they had these books, and I remember you could cut out like construction paper and paste it onto the keys in the book, and then like color the different letters, and they had different characters for the different notes. So I think we must have had like piano recitals through our teacher. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I played some sort of piano recital at age 4, playing like, the surprise symphony theme.
That is the best one to play when you're like a tiny tot, because you get to hit the G or whatever it is really hard.
Oh, for our MIs that we did recently, we did the surprise symphony, and we got to the big chord, and all the kids get all excited. Then you just hear in the silence that comes after, I was scared, yes.
I wonder if every time anybody in the world plays any iteration of that, if Haydn is just up there and you're like, yep, that was a good one. I did. That joke continues to slap.
Right, exactly.
Never gets old.
Never gets old. Okay. So you said music was as natural as reading or breathing. Does that mean that you never doubted that cello was going to be it?
The first time I started thinking about it, I would say I went to Interlaken summer camp one summer. This would have been before senior year of high school, and I'd been going to music camps. We went to Blue Lake because we're in Michigan. The older siblings had all gone, and they'd also all gone to Interlaken. And I always loved playing in orchestra, more so than anything else that I was doing. Mm-hmm. I really liked school. I liked math and I liked Spanish. But then after that 10-week, I think it was a 10-week Interlaken, at least 8.
It's intense.
8 or
it's
10.
Intense out there, yeah.
And then so coming home, I thought, I never got tired of that, playing 6-8 hours a day, whatever it was. So coming up to senior year of high school, I thought I could see myself doing this.
And your parents were completely on board?
Yeah, oh, definitely. My mom, as I said, it was probably all part of the plan.
Like how her evil plans are just your success.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's worse things that I won't even say.
So you get to senior year, you've decided this seems like a great, it's like, why not, almost, like this is what I love.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you end up going next?
So for my first year of college, I actually went to Ann Arbor, U of M, just kind of without knowing anything. I had applied to Indiana just because at that time Indiana was like the music school, and what did I know? So I did Indiana and then Ann Arbor because it was close to home. Mm-hmm. And didn't get into Indiana, so I went to Michigan and had a great teacher who I just, at the time, I didn't appreciate him because I was just this kid who was like, I'd never practiced before, really. Just, I would play in the youth symphony and...
Wait. Sorry, I'm trying to wrap my head around I played 6 to 8 hours a day at Interlaken.
At Interlaken. Oh, yeah, I practiced at Interlaken. But no, I never practiced things like technique or anything like that. And so I went to university for a year, and the guy's like, play open strings, for 10 minutes a day. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And he was a bit more cerebral or technical, which is kind of ironic because that's actually how I am. But I guess I needed something more exciting and... Oh, okay. I'm just remembering the timeline. So after high school, I had already been accepted to U of M, and so that's where I was going. But in the meantime, I went to the Congress of Strings summer music program, which was a thing sponsored by the AFN, Federation Union, for string players across the country. They would come together, and you're there for 6 or 8 weeks, and you play in the string orchestra, and then there are teachers, and you have lessons. And so the teacher there I really liked, who was Hans Jensen. And so then fast forward to being at U of M, and I'm like, I really was having fun with Hans. And so I transferred to Northwestern after that. And I studied with him there. And after that, I went to Germany. I met a teacher again at a summer music program, Schleswig-Holstein.
Okay.
That's one of these college orchestras. They audition across the world, and I was in Chicago, luckily, where everything comes to Chicago, and all the college kids can audition for lots of cool opportunities. So I went to Germany one summer. I met Martin Ostertag, and I thought that's what I want to sound like. I've never heard anyone play like that. I didn't know cello sounded like that, because there's this American style of playing that, in my mind, is just a little too aggressive or in your face kind of thing. And he had this sound that was just so beautiful.
So you were like, I need more of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how long were you in Germany?
3 years.
And at any point were you like, maybe I should just stay? Or were you always looking at the States and thinking, when do I come back, or how do I come back? Or was there no plan except just to keep?
There wasn't a definite plan. I would have stayed longer. I was runner-up for a job right before I was planning to come back, because I had finished studying and I had gotten an extension on my visa, but it was a student extension, and so I really kind of had to leave. I mean, nobody would have noticed if I just stayed around doing nothing, but I could have been subbing, freelancing. But so, yeah, I almost stayed, and then didn't.
Okay, so instead you come back.
Yeah, came back here, and well, I guess this is all kind of the road to Omaha now.
I mean, that's something I'm genuinely curious about, because orchestral musicians know you go where the job is. Yeah. You never know where there's going to be an opening. You can't really say, like, I'm going to become a member of this orchestra, because then you just have to, God forbid, whatever instrument you're playing, you have to hope for somebody to retire, right? Or worse. And that seems like bad luck or laziness to just sit back and hope that the job you want is going to miraculously open up. Instead, you go where the jobs are, and then maybe you keep an eye on that dream job and see what's going to happen. And so for me, Nebraska was never on the bingo card, because I grew up in Delaware. It's like, I don't know, the Midwest was just kind of this like unknowable, mysterious thing. And then Pat ended up winning his job, and suddenly Nebraska was a very real place. So when did Omaha get on your bingo card?
So when I was at Northwestern, Victor Yampolsky was the conductor, and he and I got along really well. And so when I came back from Germany, I didn't have a definite plan. So I went to, I actually got, I just kind of randomly fell into the principal of South Bend. I knew the guy who was principal, and he was leaving, and he just somehow made them take me as his replacement. I don't know how that worked.
Things were different.
That's very true.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So he performed an act of black magic. And
so all of a sudden I'm principal of South Bend. So I go back to Evanston and staying there for a few months, because all of this, I mean, it only lasted for 6 months. So I was living there, and I played for Victor. This was right after I had come back from Germany, and I just wanted his opinion on, I just wanted to do like an audition and see how it went and what he thought, and so I played for him like a whole bunch of stuff, and he said, "Oh, you play in tune now."
Could you say that a little bit louder? Oh, you play in tune.
You play in tune now. And we had gotten along great. I'd been principal of Northwestern Orchestra, and without being able to play in tune. But
I saw Victor. We did a side by side with one of the younger OAYO groups, and Victor turned to someone who had to be like a 6th grader. He stopped. "You like to play fast. This is not necessarily a good thing." This kid. You should stare. Okay, so Victor was obviously very pleased with how your work in Germany had gone.
Yeah, so actually when I had been in school at Northwestern, one of my best friends was Hilary Foster, who's a violinist, and she lives in Norway now, playing in the Bergen Philharmonic. Lucky her. But she was from Omaha, and so I had known about Omaha, not that I ever would have come here, but she did say it was a nice place and it's fine. You know, she grew up here. Mm-hmm. Her parents are still here. They come to concerts.
Hi and hello, Mr. and Mrs. Foster.
So then, I played for Victor. He says, "Oh, sounds good. You should audition for my orchestra in Omaha," because he had not, I think during my time in Germany, that was when he became music director here. And so this would have been a year that I guess Steve Laban left, who was the principal here before me. So he was leaving, and Victor said, "You should come audition at my orchestra in Omaha." And then at the same time, he also said, "You should come and play at my group in Wisconsin," because one of the section players was taking a year off, and he said, "Oh, just come in and fill in for that person." And then eventually I ended up becoming principal there.
So in other words, Victor is personally responsible for the two major ensembles of your entire career.
Yeah, he's totally one of my two biggest mentors, and him and Ostertag, really, it's like whenever I'm playing anything, I mean, like an orchestra, I'll think, how would Victor be doing this? And I'm looking up at some conductor and thinking,
Just superimposing Victor's face.
Well, no, because none of
Well, so I guess was it stylistic, or was it more the approach to music in general, or the philosophy behind the approach to music in general that you appreciated so much?
Kind of everything you just said. Mm-hmm. The approach, the philosophy. I remember one time at school we were doing a Beethoven symphony, and he was yelling at the group about, this is important. You have to be, I don't remember his exact words right now, but you're dedicating your lives to this, and you have to, every time you ever play anything has to be meaningful. You have to always be giving everything.
We've had conductor experiences like that, and often in the moment it feels like harsh is the wrong word, but it's kind of jarring. It's jarring to have someone on the podium essentially like trying to beat some sense into you. It's like, you don't know how lucky you are to get to do this. Like,
yes, that's what he said.
It's like, why aren't you taking this as seriously as possible? David Efron, when we were doing Mahler 7, every time we would get to a new German phrase, he would pull his hair out. It's like, I can't believe you don't know what these mean.
Yeah. And it's always like, oh, back in the day, like we would know everything about, how could you not know where all this comes from, or have done every translation already before the first rehearsal and listened to all these things. And I think in the ensemble too, that there are certain people where it really hits them and they really internalize everything that the conductor's saying, and then you have other ones that are, kind of that don't tell me what to do kind of thing. But I don't think anyone really realizes how, like, what they were receiving until they go out and are in the professional world, and you're there and you go, it is really the luckiest thing that we got to do. And being in school was such a joy and privilege too, to just do that, 24 hours a day, just always just thinking about music and studying and being in that nerdy sphere.
Right. And no one's going to treat you that way as a professional.
Yes.
You don't want them to treat you that way as a professional. No one's going to hold your hand through an entire cycle. It's like, and when Bruckner wrote this, he meant this. And it's fun to look up those things on your own, but the expectation is that you learn to hold your own damn hand and do the work. And then that is the attitude you have to bring to the job. So now I'm really curious. Like you start as principal cellist here with Victor, and you're seeing him now not as your perhaps you're still as your mentor, but now he's technically your boss and your music director. Did anything change or?
No, it really didn't, and it never felt like. It always felt to me the same. It's just kind of like, I don't know, he was meant to be there, I'm meant to be here, and this is, I'm very happy. This is great.
I have a question about Concerti, and so you said that you always knew you wanted to play in symphony. I'm sure you grew up doing a lot of chamber music, as you're saying, and also with other people besides your family. But do you remember the first time you did a concerto? Was it like a thrilling experience, or was it more negative? And then how do you feel about them now?
Do you mean actually performing a concerto or learning one?
I think performing, because I think it's a kind of spotlight and attention and artistic control or freedom that's very different from being part of a section or even leading a section.
And I'll preface your answer with every instrumentalist ever has learned a concerto for something, but not many of us have actually gotten to perform them with orchestras. They're for auditions, they're for recitals. The sudden appearance of an orchestra at your back and an audience in front of you makes for a very different situation. So.
Yes. So I'll just go backward a bit. So when I was in high school, the first concerto I learned, I believe, I would like to go down a rabbit hole at the moment. So there's a certain French composer. How do you pronounce his name? With the Camille?
Oh, Saison.
Because I have read different and conflicting things.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
I don't know. I'm terrible at French. It's funny because even though I pride myself on my ex-German accent, which I no longer have. When I lived there, all the foreign students thought I was German, and none of the German students thought I was American. So but no, I can't speak French at all.
So there was a concerto by a man that
this particular
this American is calling Camille Saison.
So do you pronounce the S at the end? Saisons? Because
there's no E after it.
Yeah, there's no E after it. So we usually at least I know in Canada we just say Saison.
Okay. Because I was reading, I've read things before that he himself did not want the S pronounced. He said he wanted it to be pronounced like there's a town with the same name in France. So that's how he wanted it pronounced. But then now, after he died, they changed the pronunciation of the town where you do pronounce the S. So it's like Saisons.
My understanding of French is that they like to pretend the end of words don't exist. Mm-hmm. So you imagine that you're saying the letters, but you're not actually saying the letters.
Right, but that's only certain words.
Unless there's more letters. like there's, if you added the E in E at the end or something, but also
Yes. So then I read that nowadays in France they pronounce the S at the end, but if you're an intellectual, you don't pronounce the S.
Wait.
Interesting.
By intellectual, do they mean pretentious?
I don't know if they meant it that way.
Is it a trap? This feels like a trap. This feels like when you go to Norfolk, Nebraska, which looks like Norfolk. But if you say Norfolk, then everyone knows that you're not from
kind
Norfolk.
Of really, yeah.
It's a trap. That sounds to me like a trap.
So I did an interview here, 5 years ago when I did the Swan, and I purposefully avoided ever saying his name in that interview because I did not know how to pronounce it.
This feels like when I do a Latin American or any sort of program with Spanish words, where I'll try to avoid having to reveal my inability to roll my R's, let's say, besides in my throat as a German would.
Oh my God. Even our interview with Stephen White, I went in thinking, oh, it's Susanna. And then he said Susanna. And then at the very end of the interview, he said, but we're calling her Susanna. And I was like, wait, no.
No, we're calling, our concertmaster, she's Susanna.
Oh, it was kind of, okay.
Yes, Susanna, and then for the duration of the opera, which is Susanna.
So then in the opera last night, they're singing it, and they're doing these country twangs. So they're actually saying Susanna.
No. Oh, this is unfair. What this is unfair. I think I said the word Susanna about 5 different ways for the exact same reason. It's like, I just want one to be right. And okay, so in this case, Camille Saint-Saëns, Saint-Saëns, Saint-Saëns.
So this person... back to, so in high school, I had not learned any concerto yet, and I knew a girl who had, and that was the one that she had learned. And so then the next year, my teacher said, "Oh, learn this concerto," and I was very excited. So that's the first concerto I learned how to play. That was junior year in high school. Okay, I don't think I played with an orchestra anything until my senior year at Northwestern, and I put together a group for my recital. I just asked everyone I knew.
Beer and pizza.
And put together, and it was crowded on the stage because that was, oh my God, have you seen Northwestern in the past 10 years? Their amazing new music school.
They, like a lot of music schools right now, are building exquisite facilities for their music students now that we are gone and can no longer enjoy
Right,
them.
but yeah, when I was there, we were still right on the lake, great view from the practice rooms out of these tiny windows. But you could see
had
the lake.
windows?
Yeah, tiny.
They weren't in the basement in these cubes of
concrete bunker cubes. It was cute.
Yeah, so it was still great, but now, oh my God, that school is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I put together this orchestra, and a friend conducted, and it was Dvorak. Maybe that's why it went so poorly, because it was the first time I'd ever actually played in front of an orchestra.
Dvorak Cello Concerto.
Yeah, the whole thing. I was having memory slips.
Crazy.
That's a
crazy piece.
It's a huge
lift. I think I had done the first movement, maybe. Or maybe that was later, but no. So that was the first time, ever actually playing a whole concerto with the orchestra. Put it together for myself, and I was not happy at all. And actually, since then, I always use music because that was the main thing. I couldn't focus, too much going on.
That's fascinating. That was a big jump, because the composer that we shall not name, his first concerto is roughly 18 minutes long. And the Dvorak's roughly 40 minutes long in comparison. At least 40, depending on how luxurious the soloist wants to make things.
Right. And I guess that was only like, I don't know, 5 years later.
Okay, but you seem so comfortable when you're in that position and when you're functioning as a principal cellist with a solo. And I'm wondering, how does it feel any different in that moment?
In the moment is maybe not as different as before the moment, because before it's so much more stressful thinking about and preparing for a concerto. It's just, well, it's a solo in the orchestra. It's great, and that's what I've always been. Principal cello in an orchestra was kind of what I always wanted to do since 10th grade or something, youth symphony, and so having little solos and things like that, I've always loved doing that.
Does it help that they just kind of come along, that you're playing your part normally and then like, oh, there's a solo, and then you continue past it?
Yeah, it's something that happens, then it's over. It's also a little bit, it's also in a way, paradoxically, because of the same reason, it's more stressful because you only have like 12 seconds to play something.
Right.
Whereas concerto, you have 20 to 40 minutes, but then there's so much more that can happen.
So when was the first time you started working on Shostakovich, first cello concerto?
So after I played Dvorak unsuccessfully at school, then a year or so later, I just wanted to play Shostakovich because I thought it sounded really cool, and I didn't. I don't know. I just liked it, and then I did the same thing and put together a group and then I asked Victor to conduct, but he played violin he didn't want to conduct it. He had one of his students do it, but he played in the group with.
What?
So that was really fun, and I used music, and I was more comfortable, and it went really well, at least for the time.
What did you learn about the concerto before you started working on it, or was it just, this is a piece of music that I have been looking forward to playing?
So I decided to play it just because I had heard it and I liked how it sounded, and then I didn't really do too much research about it, but there are things that you learn just being in music school about Shostakovich and his personal life and the politics of when he became a composer and how it affected him, and the things he wrote.
Did that increase the appeal?
A little bit, actually, because it made me learn more about Russia, and so it made me learn more about Victor, because he grew up in that time, and he lived there until 1970.
So he actually left before Shostakovich died.
Yeah, and I'm sure they met. I'm not, because Victor's father was the accompanist for David Oistrakh, and so Victor also, he grew up similar to me, being as a little kid sitting under the piano as his dad is playing.
Did you guys ever discuss the piece or even anything about his time when he was there?
We not so much. about the piece, no. And just...
Or Shostakovich's style? Did he have anything specific?
He would, well, more so, he would talk about, we played Shostakovich symphonies in orchestra, and he would talk about, that's where I learned more things about that sort of thing. Victor was, in my opinion, and other people think the same. He was best. His two best composers to conduct were Beethoven and Shostakovich.
So what I understand from all the reading that we do and all the prep that we do is that Shostakovich had the most fear associated with his writing. Like it seemed like he took it the most seriously while also actively working to continue to write his music and write music that subverted the political propaganda of the time. And this was written after Stalin had died. We've talked about this, the idea that while Stalin was still around, he had his music that he was writing for, quote, rehabilitation. Then he had music that he was writing for like film scores and just trying to make some money. And then he had his music for the desk drawer, which was the music that he was positive he could not publish or would not be played. And so this was after he could start taking things out of the desk drawer.
Right.
But there's still, even after Stalin died, my understanding was that the government remained extremely critical and overbearing on its artists. And you see that reflected in the criticisms of this concerto and his music of the time.
Yeah, and nobody really knows for sure what he was thinking when he composed anything, because then he also had to sometimes retroactively come back and make up something to say, this is what I was thinking when I wrote this. It was not anti-government.
Right.
But yes, so the concerto was composed, actually I put down, let's see. So it's opus number 107.
Okay.
And then his quartet number 8, which is the one, dedicated to victims of fascism, that was opus 110, which written 1 year after this concerto. So, yeah, I don't really know what any of it means. Like, is he feeling, I'm sure he was happy that Stalin died.
Yeah.
That's But things were better because then in 1956 his censure was rescinded. So he was probably feeling better and more free to write things, and so he wrote this concerto. I have something also that. This is a quotation that I put on my recital programs back at Northwestern. When I did this piece, there's a quotation from Shostakovich, and he says about Shostakovich, he gave me the score of his first cello concerto, and in 4 days I memorized it and played it for him while he accompanied me on piano. 4 days. We were so happy, we drank a little vodka together. We then played it again, not so perfectly, and drank more vodka. The third time, I think I played the Saint-Saëns concerto while he accompanied his own concerto. We were very happy.
Oh my God. I love, that's such a college kid thing to do, to put quotations on programs. That makes me really happy. Okay, so this then was a happy memory, possibly, at least for Shostakovich. Like the approaching of this concerto sounds like it was associated with a lot of good memories of getting to work directly with Shostakovich. And that's another thing that you keep coming across is Shostakovich and Shostakovich were very close. He was a student of Shostakovich's before he became kind of like his cello muse. You talked about your teacher in Germany and like having this style that you had never heard before. Shostakovich's style, where would you where would you put his influence and his style on modern day cello playing?
His influence is he's one of the best and probably the most famous of any cellist ever after Casals. And there really aren't any good recordings of Casals. So Rostropovich he's like the number one cellist who ever lived, probably. So yeah, his influence is everywhere. So when I'm playing this piece, which is maybe what you're possibly going to ask about.
Well, you talked about the American style versus this beautiful singing style, and
this particular concerto is fairly aggressive, probably compared to
Yes.
the Dvorak,
Yes.
which you played in the U.S. and then you played the Shostakovich in Germany. Did that inform how you played the Shostakovich?
When I played Shostakovich at Northwestern again.
Okay.
Because I was in Northwestern for 5 years. Got masters there too. So yes, when I learned it the first time, I was playing it more aggressively and just basically doing, how I'd heard it before and how, so there's, like Rostropovich plays this piece, Jacqueline Dupre plays Elgar. You can't separate, and those are iconic performances that can't be improved on. So
it's like imitating them would be a disservice
Yeah.
to yourself, frankly. Okay.
So as a student, I just did the best I could with it and played it how I wanted to or how I could. And this time now, learning it again 25 plus years later, so there's another tangent rabbit hole. 2 years ago, I played Beethoven A Major Sonata for OCMS, and which I only just realized I played that on the same recital as the Shostakovich Concerto. So that was Beethoven A Major first half and then Shostakovich second half.
Oh, that's a hell of a graduate recital, but okay.
So 2 years ago, picking up the Beethoven music, which I still have everything in my drawers in the closet somewhere. So I pull out this music and I'm trying to go through it. It has so many pencil markings and fingers, and this was where so long ago I was writing ones as just a little slash mark instead of the real, a German one. That's and just like crazy bowings and fingerings, and I'm thinking, my God, I can't even play. Who played this? So I erased everything and just started over like it was brand new and used the bowings and occasional fingerings that were in the part, and it was all perfectly great and made sense. And then I looked at the part that said edited by Andre Navarra, and that was Ostertag's teacher.
It's a small. That's such a common. I look back through my Bach part sometimes. It's like who defaced my Bach. It's just it's covered. I had a piano teacher growing up, Mr. Bianchi, and I still love you, Mr. Bianchi, but you wrote in pen. And I will never forgive you for, I have scribbles in pen all over this music, and I can't use that music anymore. Because I can't
buy a fresh copy.
Buy a fresh copy. So you started. So you erased it all. You started from scratch. You found out that you had this lineage with the editor.
So learning Shostakovich now again. Well, it's edited by Rostropovich, so
Yeah.
can't erase all of it. But I basically started as if I had never played the piece before, and did change some of his fingerings just because I was thinking, well, he can do this, but he can make it sound good. This particular one, I can't make it sound great. So I changed a few things. And also because, right, I can't sound like Rostropovich.
His legacy seems to be, the more I dug into the Rostropovich rabbit hole, the more, it wasn't just even how he played the cello, but it was more that everywhere there needed to be someone who was like, I'm a standard bearer for expression and community and international cooperation. Like Rostropovich was there. He was there when the Berlin Wall fell. He just made this effort to be. I feel like Yo-Yo Ma's actually doing very, very similar things where it's like, I'm willing to be the standard bearer of community,
Of decency,
humanity.
Yeah. Yeah, Rostropovich, he was great, really nice person. He, another story. So I did the Schleswig-Holstein Festival the second year, and then that year I had a quartet, and we played the number 8, and and Rostropovich was conducting our orchestra that week, and so we all live in this castle, and there are rooms where you can rehearse your quartet, and so we're in this room doing the Shostakovich 8, and then the door kind of like squeaks open, and there's his head pokes around the corner, and there's Rostropovich, and he's like, oh, mind if I tell you some things? And we're like, sure.
I was there. How often do you get to find someone who was there? So he was. You said he was kind, like he.
Really nice person. Yes. Yeah.
How do you deal with that, or is it just he's lovely and therefore it's not a big thing?
Yeah, it didn't seem like such a big thing. He was conducting the orchestra anyway, and we saw him every day. And
wow, man.
And we're all like 20 years old or something.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a good age to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone's just doing their own thing, and the conductor's like, "Come on, this is the best time you're and
yeah, we're having the time of our lives in the castle of Schleswig-Holstein. It's fine. Why wouldn't Rostropovich be there? How are you approaching the concerto? Do you feel stylistically, are you leaning toward your teacher in Germany? Are you leaning toward your own personal style that you've built up in the years that you've been, a professional?
Yeah, I can only play it how I play. I wouldn't try to change something to say it doesn't sound enough like something else. I want it all to sound good. It's really difficult.
Yeah. In the ranking of concerti, where is this on the hardest to play, most accessible to play?
It's funny because there are parts of it that aren't so difficult, but then there are parts of it that are unbelievably difficult. And then there are parts of it that are actually technically unplayable, so you just kind of have to, there are these like chromatic scale type things that they're not chromatic, but they keep changing, and it's it's supposed to be quarter note is 160, and these are like 64th notes going and it just changes. Each one changes, and so it's not really technically possible.
You heard it here first. It's the impossible concerto.
Maybe what we need is we should just bring vodka. But before we start, we'll just have a collective, everyone take a shot.
And go, Paulo, say something. Let's go.
But that's fascinating. I think that has to be true of a lot of concerti that are out there, where there are passages where over time performers have just made do, and it becomes performance practice. Like, well, here's how you deal with X, Y, and Z. And this composer, God bless him, he's asking too much, but we will do the best with what these mortal hands can actually accomplish. Do you feel like, is this the only concerto you feel that way about, or are there moments like that in other works?
This is, out of anything I've played, this is probably the only one. There are things that I haven't played, like more modern things, that really I don't know.
We'll put those on the list next.
I was going to say, do you have any other bucket list concerti you want to play? Ligeti.
God.
I'm sure we can get a Dutilleux in there, and another French composer with a tricky last name. What would you recommend for people who come here to Shostakovich? What should they listen to next if and when they fall in love with the cello, and possibly with Shostakovich? Where would you direct them next?
If they haven't heard a Prokofiev symphony concertant, I think that maybe that's even more accessible than the Shostakovich, but it's also Russian 20th century and very difficult, but incredible, amazing piece.
And what would you, when you get to perform this, are you going to walk out hoping that the audience is with you and like, this is a concerto, you know me, I know you, or do you want the audience to have, I guess my question is, where mentally would you like your audience to be before you start playing? In a quiet place, ready to stifle their coughs and shuffling. So thoughtful, 2 shots of vodka in, great.
No candy wrappers.
No candy wrappers.
Well, I don't know. It's actually, the piece, it starts off, it's kind of fun in a way. It's boisterous, it's energetic. So I think, you don't have to be in a quiet mood. The slow movement is quiet, and then there's a cadenza movement where I'd love for the audience to not cough.
6.5 minutes. That's it. Just 6.5 minutes of no coughing. That's all he's asking for.
Very small thing. No, and the program it's on is a really thoughtful, introspective program. You have the Beethoven, and that's super exciting and I was gonna say rock and roll, but it's not. But then between this and the Schoenberg, this is a good program, I think, for mid-spring, where you're contemplating the year ahead, you're contemplating, like, the sun stays out a little bit longer. It's a good program for not being in the dead of winter, I think. So I'm glad it's taking place in March. But I think it's also a really lovely program for being so introspective. It requires the audience to be willing to be open and listen and think and think about things that are often, I think, slightly more uncomfortable, but the payoff is so glorious.
Mm-hmm.
Is the payoff for you as a performer equal to the payoff for the audience, do you think? Or is that a trick question?
Interesting question.
I guess because it's very it can be a heavy kind of piece to experience as a listener, but there's always the aspect of a performance being thrilling no matter what the piece is, even if the piece is really heavy or Shostakovich 5 or something. There's still that gets you going as a performer. Is that kind of more, or are you really living through the heaviness of the piece, I guess? Or are you enjoying yourself? Because I know the audience is probably sitting there like, yeah, we're gonna...
Paul's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to think that it's an amazing performance and experience, but they're probably not, sitting there with the big Tchaikovsky violin concerto.
Well, the first and the fourth movement are both, I don't know if I would say happy, but they're fast and melodic and very listenable.
Fun.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Devilish.
Yeah, I like that.
We could use more of that.
So it's the middle part that's all the introspective stuff happening.
So there's light at the end of this tunnel.
I think so.
Are you relieved? Is relieved the best word for...
Once it's over, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And then you lock the piece back up from whence it came.
Yeah, it's been sitting in that drawer for decades.
Ironic, because it was written in part of the Shostakovich in the desk drawer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. We only have one last question for you. You have 30 seconds on stage, no
30
consequences.
minutes.
30 minutes, sorry. Yes. 30 seconds would be a very short. 30 minutes, no consequences. You could try anything.
I really don't even... Is there an audience?
Okay, so here, I'll explain. So the answer, the most common answer is probably cello. People really want to try playing the cello because they love the sound of it. So I completely understand if you say, I'm good, this is the best instrument, I don't care about anything else. But for example, some people want to just hit every percussion instrument out there. Some people want to play the laptop from the Mason Bates piece. Mm-hmm. Some people want to conduct. We've had,
4 minutes and 33 seconds.
4 minutes and 32 seconds. I just want to hold the audience and stand there.
Robert Young was the only person to ask, well, what does no consequences mean? And then he assumed that there would be people there, and so he didn't want to do anything
right.
that would garner ridicule. So we're gonna say that you're by yourself.
Or if there's an audience, they won't remember it after it's over.
Right, it's like time stops.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want. You're not going to break anything, probably.
Mm-hmm. And no one will yell at you, which
yeah.
is where my mind went with no consequences.
I used to want to play violin before. I mean, not want to, but I used to think about that it would be fun to play first violin. Actually, back to the beginning, I played violin in youth orchestra for years before I did cello. But I was, after I became a professional cellist, I used to still think that it would be fun to play violin, but I don't think that anymore.
They do have all the notes.
Yeah.
All of them. So it's not that.
No. It could be fun banging around on percussion stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've never done would be like being an actor in a play, which I think would be kind of interesting.
Okay. That's a totally different answer. I like that answer.
So
Nice.
the next MI,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying you'd like to be a pirate.
No.
You want
or
to
a
be
spaceman.
No,
or
not
evil
there
Dr. Bill.
There are consequences for those.
I think more like Shakespeare.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I don't know, Agatha Christie play or something interesting.
Something where you can be cozy.
Something where you can become a character and
Soft cry.
Yeah, it's not so different than being a musician. You're playing this piece and you're reciting the author's lines, and you're a character.
Nice. I think that's a perfect answer. Congratulations. That's the right answer.
Yeah, the question put to bed never needs to be asked again. That's the answer.
An Agatha Christie or Shakespearean actor. Excellent. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
Yay. Oh my God.